power of Karsus would be in my hands. But what then? What would I do with it once I have it? Sage and timely counsel, as always. And I intend to heed it. A wise man learns from his mistakes, and strives not to repeat them. I shall bring the crown to Mystra. She'll cure me of my affliction. And I'll finally be free. And a more deserving one this time around. If this adventure has taught me anything, it's that there are things in this world far more valuable than power. Besides, grown quite fond of this merry band of ours, but I'd quite like to see what happens to it. I'm sure Mystra will summon me soon enough, but until then, I propose we celebrate our victory the mortal way, with a drink in our hands and reckless abandon in our hearts.
Revelry? A grand notion. We've earned the right to an indulgence or two. But I leave the final call to our esteemed leader. A wise choice, Rastil. Perhaps the wisest you've ever made.
I will not be joining you. I fear my presence will be no more welcome in the streets of the city than it ever was.
You're right, of course. But, well, I'll miss you, friend. Your companionship has been quite the education.
I will miss you, too.
Now that you no longer live in each other's minds, it's hard to tell if the mind flayer is being sincere, though perhaps no harder than it ever was.
So many have fallen on both sides of this conflict. Once I would have died proudly in defense of the Netherbrain, thinking it a god. It is a sobering thought, and I intend to chase it away with whatever filth passes for wine in these parts.
We did it, soldier. The city's going to be all right. And so are you. Engine's finally cooked. Held on just long enough. So, how'd I do? For you. And for the city, and for myself, and blah blah. But most of all, for you. Careful! Hot! How'd I do? Spectacular! Ah, it's the one thing I can't beat, isn't it? Same below as above. I love you. You. More than anything. I saw. Oh, God! Goodbye, son. Goodbye, sea. Goodbye.
No, stop. I won't allow this. Karlach, you're coming with me. Back to Avernus. We can't let her die. Not like this. Not now.
You can't. All right. All right. We have to go. Now. Hurry! I'm going to... I don't have much time.
It's over. And it's all because of you. You, who were destined to become a thrall. Thanks to you, there will be no Illithid empire, no death god's tyranny. You have earned your place amongst the legends of the Sword Coast. You are the saviors of Baldur's Gate.
Well, soldier, here we are. It worked. My engines calmed down. I shouldn't have let you come here. This isn't going to be easy, you know. Zariel's going to come at us with everything she's got. Gods, like clockwork. They'll be on us soon, but there's just enough time. Thought I was done with these. But then, there was you. Imps are fast, but careless. Don't let them tire you out, just get rid of them. And don't forget, you asked for this. Better let these fuckers know I'm back. And this time, I'm not alone.
When the invitation came, you were hip-deep in Lemure slime, swarmed by hell wasps, and about to drive the killing blow on a magma claw. Cutting through the dreadful buzz of the wasps and the screams of the damned, a familiar, comforting voice echoed in your mind. Withers, he requested your attendance in Faerun, to gather with your friends and allies, those who stood against the Absolute at your side. A reprieve from the Blood War. A few hours of respite with the stars above and good company to cheer you. Karlach's heart can take the strain of leaving Avernus for a few short hours, but it might burst with joy to see those friends again.
Thou wert called here, some from above, some below. For with thine bond, together thou hast kept the wheel of fate spinning when it threatened to halt. Though thou wert drawn far apart in the months after the collapse of the Absolute, tonight, fate renews thy bond once more. Thou shouldst take care to preserve it. It is a great weapon, wielded in the hand of good. Go. Know one another once more.
Now, there's
than any of the matriarchs
well
were
indeed.
intact.
I must be careful.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. He wasn't kidding. Withers, you mad bastard! You brought us back! Commander Zula won't know where the fuck we went! Ha! Oh, man, I can't wait to say hi to everyone. Look at them, the beauts. Rest up, soldier. My tin can will be all right for the night. And you and me will get to sleep with both eyes shut for the first time in 6 months? Then again, maybe we won't sleep at all. Me too, my love. See you soon. Come here, you goon. Oh, hey, before you go, I've been thinking about those blueprints we found. Zariel's probably got a load of Cambions guarding that forge. I'm sure she knows I'll want in. She'll do anything to stop me from fixing this thing. I might have an in with one of the guards, though. An old acquaintance called Flo. Not sure she'll help us, but maybe. We might get to come home. Permanently. Maybe even sooner than we think.
So, here we are. A gathering of allies at a cold campsite with no servants to attend us and few luxuries to enjoy. Ah, we could have been conquerors. We could have ruled these realms as gods. Do you ever regret that we did not take control of the Netherbrain? You may be right, but I cannot help but wish we had tried. That is in the past, though. Regrets are of little value, unless they are fuel for future victories. Few mortals have stood against gods and monsters as we have, and lived to tell the tale. We can write our own stories now, and leave our mark on these realms. I feared that returning to the Underdark as an apostate of Lolth would be an act of madness. Perhaps it was. If so, it is a madness that fits me well. Rebels swarm to my cause, and even if it takes centuries, I will reclaim my house in Menzoberranzan. And make the Spider Queen bleed. I expect there have been other reunions to which I was not invited.
To your relief, your projection holds. You can touch, taste, and talk, but your fleshy body is in limbo, the home of the mystical Githzerai. Once the Githzerai were one. The Githzerai God King met. Should the Githzerai join you, you could vanquish Flakith in a red dragon's blink.
What's the word on the rebellion? I presume you've cracked open more Kithraki heads than you could possibly count. Then you did keep count. I should have known you would. I'm afraid since we last met, my corpse count remains a paltry 0. Unless you count the boars I felled on ducal hunts. Rebuilding a city requires a politic mind. A sharp soldering blade, not so much. Bargains must be made. Coin must change hands. Tongues must be held in check. Father leaves me to my own devices, though he's got no shortage of advice when I ask for it. Still, I make the decisions I see fit. The ones I think will restore the city to glory. I serve only Baldur's Gate, not a devil of the first hell. Father's very well, and back in his element, commanding the Flaming Fist with as brave a heart as ever. Floric, bless her soul, convinced him to withhold the lashings and scoldings though I know he was tempted. The likes of Gortash can bend people's minds with a few chosen words. No tadpole needed. Bane's Chosen primed the Fist for a war they weren't meant to win. He convinced them there was an assassin hiding in every shadow, that cruelty was the correct answer to crisis. With a few exceptions, fathers pardoned every last Fist. If my forgiveness not be Tyr's will, so be it. I shall forgive them all the same. His words, not mine. He still believes in the bow and the blade, but with Floric's help, he's teaching the Fist a new lesson. Valor is found not in the wounds you inflict, but in the lives that you have bettered. May they all take it to heart. Never. The hexes and eldritch blasts, losing them took getting used to. They left behind a cold abyss where fire once raged. So I stoked a new one. Now the burning comes from within me, not from the depths of Avernus. I've had more than a few challenges, given the horns sprouting from my head. The people know me as one of the champions who saved their beloved city. They know Ravengard blood flows through my veins. The patriarchs, the aristocracy, the councils of Waterdeep and Arm, their arms aren't so wide open. Still, there's no friction that can't be greased with a sly promise or a proposition. Disbanded, to be formed anew. I don't expect a soldier or street sweeper to see through the schemes of a tyrant like Gortash. But the city's lords and ladies were all too eager to abandon their oaths and bend the knee. My father, Older Ravengard, is now Grand Duke of the Triad, Keeper of the Fist. Floric is now Grand Duke of the Crossing, the face of devotion. And I am Will Ravengard, Grand Duke of the Worm, Heart of the Gate. We will yet be four. Until such time and after, we will enact the will of the People's Parliament. Baldur's Gate is nothing without its citizens, both in the upper and lower. Our duty is to them, and only them. The jewel of the coast will shine ever bright, welcoming the weak and the weary from wherever they hail. We are building new housing, not just shanties, but homes where families can rest their heads, plant gardens, pursue happiness. Amazing what can be done when Parliament and the Council pressure the upper city elites to open their coffers. I'm sure the Silver Shields can make do without a few more jeweled crowns. Of course. Go on, the night's young. You shouldn't waste a moment of it. Or waste a single drop of wine for that matter. I plan on downing half a bottle myself. Oops, did I say half a bottle? I meant half a dozen.
Well, look who it is. So, how are you enjoying the Hells, my dear? I assume they're darling as ever. The feeling is extremely mutual, my dear. This plane is so very dull without you. Of course. I've tried to taste everything this world has to offer. It has been a joy. I've been rediscovering what it means to be alive. More or less. Cazador's mansion has become my palace, and played host to every kind of banquet and soiree and masquerade imaginable. And of course, has seen its fair share of hedonism, clandestine deals, and the occasional disappearance. Whatever it takes to build up my influence over those who matter. I'm spinning my web. Power grows slowly, but I have nothing but time now. Rather wonderfully, actually. I've been making all sorts of new friends. They're the kind of friends that would see me burn the first chance they get. But that's all in the nature of the game, isn't it? But the important thing is I am doing wonderfully. Finally having a life that's worth living. And who knows what's next? There's an entire world out there, ready for the taking. Perhaps the next time we meet, we'll have grander conquests to toast. I did miss you, you know. There is a sense of loneliness that comes with power. We did share a wonderful adventure, you and I. A pity to see it end in some ways. But we have great new lives stretching out before us, and great new adventures to go on. I will never forget the time we spent together, though. And I know you'll never forget me. Until next time, darling.
I would kill for a glass of Ulava wine.
A most welcome sight.
You would think someone of my vintage would be inured to the passage of time. Yet these past 6 months have seemed endless without your company. But now, our paths cross once more. We have all pined for each other's company, I sense. I cannot imagine otherwise after what we shared. That bond was forged in a crucible that can never be stoked again, Oak Father willing. It is a bond that can weather any distance, any passage of time. I know it can, for I feel the longing for old friends in my heart each day. I always do. Should I ever decline, assume a doppelganger has taken my place. That was more than worth the wait. That was more than worth the wait? Oh, I suppose you didn't mean that literally. Now, we have much to catch up on. Do not allow me to ramble on. I am eager to hear all you've been doing. In that case, very well. Our community grows rapidly. In 6 months, we have turned what was once a shadowy wasteland into a true home for all. In another 6 months, I would wager the scars of the past will be entirely invisible, even to those who remember them. The old masonry of Moonrise Towers and Rythwin have been repurposed into new homes, and the land is rich with harvests and bountiful trees. Nature and civilization are in harmony, stronger together. It is, truly, though a more complex, evolving beast than I could ever have anticipated. I spoke often of balance before. Only now do I realize the balance is no simple, fixed thing. We welcome folk from all walks of life. Anyone who wishes for a new start. Naturally, it can be chaotic at times, but it is a thrilling sort of chaos. It thrives in ways I could never have dreamed of. You are welcome whenever you like, and for however long you please. Now, please, tell me all, and spare no details. I shall not lie. I have an ulterior motive in wishing to hear all. It is the children, you see. My charges. Their appetite for bedtime tales is greater than I could ever have anticipated. Another story, Daddy Halsin. Another is the chorus that greets me each nightfall. They have all but exhausted my repertoire in but a few short months. No mean feat given the lifetime I have lived. I desperately need new material, please. My reputation is at stake. I am all ears. Though I never cared for that phrase. A rather unsettling image. I am glad you have kept yourself occupied. No doubt I'll be able to spin a few yarns for the children from this. Thank you. Now, it would be cruel of me to hoard you all to myself for the evening, as much as I would like to. I shall leave you to the others for now, unless there was anything else. Quite often. They come and go as they please, but with so many playmates to avail of, they are far from strangers. They ask after you often. What you did for them will never be forgotten. I can see it in the land all around me. But more importantly, I see it in their faces whenever they visit. To make a child smile is to dabble with the power of gods, as far as I'm concerned. I spend half my days in ursine form. The children demand it. I had a score of them taking turns riding upon my back just days ago. I'm glad they are so comfortable with the Oakfather's creations. But they must learn that not all are as amiable as I am. A lesson for another time, though. They deserve some joy. As for roaming, that impulse has dwindled, I must admit. Perhaps because I have found where I am meant to be. As did I, but somehow I feel like I no longer need to roam. That I have found something worthy laying roots for. Amazing what can be discovered about oneself, even at a ripe old age. By all means. If only we could stay like that forever. Before you go, I have something for you. Just a little keepsake, really. Do you remember how I told you I like to whittle? I made this. Ducks are my favorite, but I thought they were particularly fitting in this case. They are migratory birds, of course, traveling far and wide with the turn of the seasons. Yet, they always find their way back to where they belong. Just like old friends find themselves back in each other's company. Just a token to remember me by. Now, I've taken up enough of your time. Go on. Enjoy the festivities. We can speak again later.